So I just want to start off by saying that a student with a disability and just special education students in general is kind of a touchy subject for some people. It's certainly taboo because people don't want to be overly rude when talking about special education, but they also don't want to be overly nice and like compensate for things. And I think that a lot of the times in the responses that I got, people were trying to be overly politically correct in order to kind of counteract the discrimination that children with special needs have gotten in the past. And so I think that that may have influenced the way they phrased some of their answers, but overall I think I got a pretty solid idea of what people think of when they are asked the question, what is a student with a disability?
It could be.
A student with, I don't even know. Wait, okay, start over.
Okay. Go. Sorry. So what
A student with a disability is a student who has more challenges than the next student and who has to work harder in order to achieve their goals.
It could be a student that has a mental handicap or maybe a physical one, but either way. Or actually I would also consider like emotional too. That could be a problem.
Good, yeah.
Like a student with a disability would be like, I don't know how to answer that. Like, I can't
So
like
they would have an
describe it.
impairment of some sort. What kind of impairments do you think they would have?
Okay.
Like, do you think they would have a physical impairment, a mental or intellectual impairment, anything like that?
Okay. Okay. A student with a disability is someone who has some sort of impairment that could be anything from physical to cognitive.
Okay.
I think that a student with a disability is any student that requires additional, like support or assistance.
It could be a student in a wheelchair, it could be a paraplegic, it could be a student with really severe ADD. Those are all disabilities to me.
Like the first thing that comes to mind is sort of like a stereotypical image where you like think of the kids that were like in the special education section at like my elementary school. So like the children that I saw in the hallways every day in like wheelchairs or like the blind kids.
I think of someone who has a harder path and more obstacles.
I picture everything just because I have had a disability in my past. So I don't think that you can see a disability in someone until you learn about it and understand their disability.
When someone has trouble comprehending information given to them.
Normally, since I'm a teacher, I normally picture a student with a disability as a learning disability just because that's what I see with SDS letters.
Okay, so how would you define a learning disability?
I'm not really sure how I would define a learning disability just because there's so many various types. I guess I would say that anyone that needs to amend their syllabus or coursework to adapt to their learning style.
Those are kind of complicated. It could be that it takes someone a very long time to process new information. It could be that they can process verbally, I mean auditorily, but they can't process what they read. So they can't learn like normal people.
Okay, and then the last.
A learning disability would be something that a student has to like kind of work with that makes them a little bit different than others, but maybe they just learn in a different way, or something like dyslexia.
Learning disability could be anything from ADHD, PTSD, anything that hinders your ability to focus in class or to work well in class.
Yes,
And why?
because it will help socialize them.
No, I don't really. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of, in general, I'm not a fan of.
I think it's a very good idea.
because as you can see with the Clemson Life kids getting to interact, they obviously, I mean, it's not a bad thing, and I mean, it helps them grow and become more independent, so yes.
I feel like they should get some exposure to regular classroom settings, but some supplemental maybe activities and other things that'll help them get through the whole process would be ideal.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you need to completely isolate anyone. I think there's a lot anyone can learn from other people who might be different than them in some way.
I 100% do. In California, I went to a school where we had mainstream program, which means we had deaf kids as well as disabled kids in the classroom, and they had interpreters, they had people who could work with them, and I would always sit and help kids with homework. So I really think that they should be mainstreamed, and if that doesn't work for them, and then they can go and be schooled by themselves.
A lot of general ed teachers today only get an intro to special education course. Do you think that they should be required to take more special education courses, even if that's not their major?
Yeah, I think that it probably depends on what type of class you're teaching. Where it's something like a lab, you might not really necessarily need to, because we're not actively using those SDS letters or like interacting that much. But for other higher level classes, yeah, I think it would be helpful just so you know what the proper situation is and you don't have to rely on SDS to tell you.
I think it can only help if they did something like that, just because no matter whether these kids are in their classroom or not, they're still going to be talking to other children in the school and like interact with them. So I think it can only be helpful.
Absolutely. I think that you're starting to see more people being diagnosed with like autism and ADHD and dyslexia, and I think that the teacher should be prepared for all types of students, not just the quote perfect end quote model and molded students. So I think that they should be given more training and they should be able to specialize.
I completely think that they should go through further education on what a disability is, what it looks like, and what it maybe doesn't look like. I think that teachers nowadays would rather not teach disabled kids because they think it's going to be harder, but at the same time it's easier because you get to change and impact the kids' lives.
So, in my opinion, for a solution, I would offer that schools should every couple years offer a different like appreciating the differences workshop, like a diversity workshop, and kind of sensitivity training on how they should treat all the students with different needs, especially the ones that struggle in class with learning and achieving. Talking about a student with a disability is important for the foundations of education, because I think that everyone should be made aware of the different types of students that are out there, and that I also think that it's important to recognize all of the other types of disability. And I hope that through these questions and through this video that people are made more aware of the truly special people that students with disabilities are.